I hate fashion. Truly, I really don't like it anymore. The fact that we keep pumping out season after season after season of clothes is absurd. I was at a Balenciaga store recently, and I asked the guy, "Oh, do you have anything else?" And he's like, just old stuff. You wouldn't want it." It was stuff from last season. So the overconsumption is insane. The speed of it, even the luxury brands are acting like fast fashion, and I'm over it. I'd rather focus on more timeless stuff that keeps its sense of style through the years and through the decades, as opposed to these hype cycles that we get stuck in. And that is the purpose of this video. One of my favorite, somewhat recent videos was the How I Learned to Love Japanese Fashion video. So we're going for round 2. We got some new pieces from great Japanese brands. I have stuff from the Viridi-Anne, Number 9, Lad Musician, and Kimry. I'm just going to call it Kimry. If that's wrong, I don't care. So whereas the Western fashion world is stuck in these hype cycles and these consumption cycles, these brands, I feel, really focus on craft. They don't mind doing things slowly and letting it take the time it needs to become what it's going to be. And we're also going to look in this video a little bit about the history of the brands, what they're all about, what the vibe is, and how it might fit into your personal style, because I think these really are brands worth checking out. So we're going to talk about these pieces, we're going to talk about the designers, we're going to look at the details, and we're going to try them all on. I'm so excited. Let's dive in.
And if you like fashion and don't want to give into the overconsumption BS, check out my Grailed. Listen, reduce, reuse, recycle. Reward me with your money for my Grail. Thank you.
You may have noticed in that promo, I have a ruler. This is my magic pointy ruler, which I will use to talk about these brands. I could say there's some sort of symbolism to it about how, like, these Japanese designers, they're so dedicated to their craft and they measure things so well, but I just needed something to point with. Here's my ruler. All right, where are we going to start today? First up, let's look at the Viridi-Anne, and we've got a piece right here, a beautiful mandarin collar, very long button-down shirt. This brand was founded by the designer Tomoaki Okinawa around 2001. So this is a brand that's been around for a long time. And as you can see, just for this piece, I love how this encapsulates it. It is a brand focused on a darker aesthetic. Honestly, you're getting into the territory. I would say it is starting to get into the darkwear territory. So, you know, brands like Rick Owens would be at the forefront of that. The Viridian fits so well into a Rick style closet, but it's also doing its own thing very well. They have a nice focus on tailoring and very like classically Japanese fits. You know, you can see cropped pants, drop crotches, sharp tailoring, you know, strong and elongated jackets. It's a really beautiful style with a very black kind of aesthetic at heart. So while there are definitely lots of similarities to Rick Owens, like when you see the Viridi-Anne stuff posted online, usually they're also tagging Rick Owens because they know that's how to get the eyeballs on it. It is decidedly more Japanese. Like, this brand has a very specifically Japanese point of view, and it's coming from a history of Japanese garments and pulling from that, as opposed to most brands that we're probably familiar with, which have a much more Western aesthetic, including Rick Owens. So in that sense, I think you could also draw a lot of parallels between the Viridi-Anne and designers like, of course, Yohji Yamamoto. The tailoring especially, I think, shares a common point of view and a common headspace that the designers are in. So I'm not like an all-in on the darkwear type of person, but I do love a darker punk grungy aesthetic, and that is what they bring in that elevates it for me out of just your typical darkwear stuff. Now let me show you real quick what I like so much about this piece specifically. This piece is just gorgeous, and there are so many details in this that are worth highlighting, but I don't want this video to be an hour long, so let's go over the highlights. First off, it is incredibly long, which makes for a really unique fit. Again, gives me kind of Yohji Yamamoto vibes. I love a good mandarin collar, and I also really like the way they've done it here. It's actually a similar style of cut to what I've seen in some Rick Owens leather jackets. So the fact that they've done that type, it's not like a raglan sleeve in a way. They've done this on a button down is something that you just don't see very often, if ever. Another really incredible part that's easy to miss on this is that it's actually layered. Like, it is cotton, right? And it has the feel of a lot of like the Rick Owens like island shirts and things like that. But the thing that differentiates it, you can really see it down here at the cuff. Look at that. Look at that. It's like a chiffon type of covering over the typical barrel cuff. It's gorgeous. And you get the same thing down here at the hem, and it's left kind of raw as well. Like, how cool is that? Big slits, by the way. But dude, that is incredible. It's one of those things that the more you look at it and the more you investigate it, the more you find to appreciate in this piece. So the neck tag right here, you can see the Viridi-Anne, beautiful. And let's see what we can glean from the tags. First off, this is tagged a size 4, and in Japanese sizing, usually that would mean like an XL, but on this piece, it's like completely meaningless. I want to have a word with whoever said this is a size 4. You'll see later when we try it on. And this one, it is 100% cotton, and the ribbing even is also cotton. Made in Japan, no surprises there, but always good to see. You know, not everything from a Japanese brand is always made in Japan. Extra button, all that good stuff, and even a warning tag. All right. So a piece like this, it offers so many styling options, and it also just feels elevated, right? It's not your typical type of hype streetwear. There is consideration and refinement to this. Next, I would like to talk about Kmrii. Now, Kimry is a very mysterious brand. There's not a lot of good information to find out about them online, but I can tell you it is a brand that was founded by Louis Onozaki around the year 2000, and they have a very, very clear like punk motorcycle aesthetic, lots of leather, lots of studding, and it is very, very far up my alley. While this is a lesser known brand and more mysterious under the radar brand than some of the big names in Japanese fashion, the same people who are crazy about and archiving brands like Number 9 or Undercover, they're also probably very into Kmrii and the pieces that they create. Like some of my favorite, clearly like handcrafted Japanese pieces that I've ever seen came from Kmrii, whether it's a leather jacket or a pair of boots or a handbag, like messenger bag type of thing. This stuff is so cool and is insanely up my alley. Like their stuff fits in with my edgy millennial DIY punk gothic aesthetic so well, maybe better than almost anybody. And not for nothing, brands like Kmrii are clear influences on some of the biggest underground brands today, like Enfant Riche J. Primé, which looks heavily to Japanese fashion and punk design and just underground weirdo Japanese art stuff to influence their designs in a similar way to Kmrii. Now what we have here is actually like a beautiful starter piece from the brand. This is an elongated short sleeve button down shirt in a beautiful, beautiful material with a really cool design and kind of like longer sleeves and of course a very, very raw hem. Now let's take a closer look. All right, Kimry, let's see what you got for us. So this piece, it's just really gorgeous. It's really nice. It'll be really nice as a base for a look once you get into summer and warmer, because also this fabrication is amazing. But let's take a look here. It almost has, I don't know, a silky type of look. We'll check out the fabrication soon. But you've also got this kind of like spray paint type of print here at the front, which is very abstract, but also very provocative in a way. The sleeves are surprisingly long for the style. Like it comes right down to your elbow for most people, I would say. And the buttons also end quite high. So it feels quite open as you're wearing it, and you've also got split sides, which help with that. And look at this. Kmrii is well known for their studs, so they even included a couple down here. As you can see, it's got a raw hem, which I am not mad about in any way. And the pattern continues at the back, and you even get a little bit more of like a splatter effect, I would say. And the brand, I'm not sure what Kmrii comes from or what it means, but it's Kmrii, so 2 I's on that. and my tags are having some issues, but whatever, it's fine. This one tagged a size 1, which usually would be like a small, so we'll check on that soon. And this one, it is 100% cotton. So even though this feels like a silk or maybe a rayon or something like that, it is just straight cotton, but just treated in a way that makes it much, much, much drapier and flowier and lighter and breathe better. I think they've done a great job here. The next brand I want to talk to you about is Lad Musician. This is such a cool brand, and if you're not familiar with them, listen up. So this is a brand that actually dates back to the mid-90s. They've been around for literal decades, and they were founded by Yuichi Kuroda. And the best thing about this brand, the best thing, aside from the design, of course, which we'll get into shortly, is the price points. Like, if you are a connoisseur of Japanese punk designer fashion, but you're also on a budget, this brand is the best you can get for the price, along with maybe some hysteric glamour stuff. Like this pair of pants, this beautiful pair of skinny black chino pants was $18. 18 USD for this incredible piece of Japanese punk fashion history. Now, Yuichi Kuroda. So he founds Lad Musician, and it harkens back to the punk days, the earliest punk days, you know, the Clash, right? The Sex Pistols, very, very strong through line to Vivian Westwood, who also had strong ties in Japan with lines like Seditionaries. Now, Lad Musician is kind of the epitome of these Japanese punk brands, where they took, you know, these New York and London punk styles and brought them to Japan and added the craft to it, and also just the Japanese point of view that twists things and skews it just ever so slightly. But if you're looking for an elevated DIY punk type of look, Lad Musician stuff is absolutely incredible. And this pair of pants looks simple, but it's also sick. Listen, I recognize that this is a quote-unquote simple pair of pants, right? But sometimes simple is what you need, and these are just gorgeous. The fit is perfect. Somehow they're very skinny without being, like, I don't know, self-consciously so, and they're also made really well. Like, this fabric is great. It's almost like a brushed cotton. You would need to feel it, but it almost has a slightly like felty velour type of fit to it. Zip closure, which is shockingly important to me. Okay. Super, super tapered. And then the back is so clean too. It's just like slip pockets, no buttons or anything. And you've got this really nice tailored detailing here at the back of the waistband with these buttons that just give it a little bit of something extra to make it not just a simple pair of chinos. So the tag here is sewn in right there. You can see Lad Musician, and it's tagged to 42, which I guess would be like an extra, extra small. And usually Japanese stuff fits really small, but you'll see these fit really well. And the text on the tag, it's all Japanese here, unfortunately, but they do include on here that it is made in Japan, as well as indicating that these are from 2003, I believe. Flowers 03, I think that's the collection. So literally 18 bucks for a pair of pants made in Japan this well. I'll take that every single day of the week. Now, the last brand we're going to talk about today is number 9. Now, I gave a very solid overview of this brand in the last Learning to Love Japanese Fashion videos. Wow, that was a mouthful. So definitely go watch that. But this one, we're going to add a little more color flavor to it. So, as you may know, number 9 was a brand founded by Takahiro Miyashita, and he spent his best years at the house before moving on and doing another brand called The Soloist. Now, the piece we looked at in my previous video was kind of like a basic staple piece hoodie from the brand, kind of one that exists outside of a specific season and isn't even especially connected to Takahiro Miyashita and the stuff that he's so respected for in his old vintage work at number 9. We're changing that today because what we have here is a vintage cashmere turtleneck sweater from the fall 2004 collection, one of the most respected collections in number 9's history. So whereas the hoodie that I had was a basic piece, very nice, but basic, this is the type of thing that the number 9 archivists, the Japanese fashion weirdos, go crazy for. And there's good reason for it, because it is a beautiful piece from a beautiful collection. This piece is just beautiful, and it blows my mind every time. It's just so refined. Like, I know that number 9 is a very like punk-inspired brand, but this, it just like oozes confidence in that Steve Jobs kind of way, you know what I mean? So maybe that's the theme of this episode. It's these punk-inspired Japanese designers taking things and elevating them and refining them in these beautiful ways. Like, this knit is so nice. Pure cashmere, nice ribbed turtleneck, very high turtleneck, so you fold it over for a really nice look there. And it's also ribbed down here at the hem and at the cuffs. The fit is fantastic, really nice kind of fitted punk style, kind of maybe like mod, you know, 80s mod, post-punk type of thing. You can see this is like an older tag, because again, 2004, that's a very old piece of clothing. And then you get the brand name here again, Takahiro Miyashita. He put his name on it when he was still designing for the brand. And the size is a size 3, so for most brands that would be like a large. We'll keep an eye on that. And then we can see on the back of this, 100% cashmere and made in Japan. Like, that is as good as it gets. All right, now that we've checked all of those pieces out, we've got to try them on. And we have most of what we need for an outfit here, but not everything. So let's see what else we can find to put some fits together. All right, so we have got a pair of pants, a sweater, and 2 button-down shirts. So definitely between these tops we'll need to be cycling, but I think we can wear these pants for everything. And I think we also need a piece of outerwear and, of course, a pair of shoes. So it seems only fitting that we bring back the Beauty Beast, like bondage jacket from the last Japanese design video. That makes perfect sense to me. And then for shoes, I think what'll go really well with that are these slip-ons from Mark Nason. I know, it looks like Chrome Hearts, right? Really cool Patrick leather shoes. Mark Nason, he's like the vice president of Skechers, but then he also made these insane multi-$1,000 Italian dress shoes with a punk style. So yeah, there's that. This is gonna be wild. All right, we've got a lot to try on in a short amount of time, so let's do it. Let's figure out if the Japanese have something figured out that we don't. Starting with the Lad Musician pants, these skinny black, like chino dress pants. And these are like my new favorite base for a look. They just straight up are. You know what, first let's throw these shoes on, the Mark Nason patchwork leather, chrome heartsy type shoes. I love these things. All right, the Lad Musician pants, like, you don't always want a crazy high fashion avant-garde pair of pants. Sometimes you want to let other pieces do that, like the shoes or your top or your jacket, other pieces, and you just need a solid black, well-tailored thing to hold everything together, and that's exactly what these are, because the material is incredible. It's made really well. The cut is so nice. I love the taper. I love the way that it's incredibly skinny, but also moves so well with me. Everything about these pants is just chef's kiss, perfect, no notes. But next we've got to get through the onslaught of tops here, starting with the long Mandarin collar button-down shirt from the Viridi-Anne. Now this is a brand that I'll admit I haven't spent a ton of time on in the past. I think I would see their stuff and I'd be like, oh, that's cool, it looks kind of like Rick Owens, and then I'd move on with my life. But this one, it really just did something for me, and I love the way it works here. I will say, it's a bit big. I think the sizing doesn't matter so much with a silhouette like this, but it is a bit big for me because I usually wear a size small, and this is a size 4. I think a 2 or 3 of this would have been ideal, but as it is, I can definitely make it work. And I also especially like leaving those bottom buttons undone so it opens up at the bottom and again gives it a very like Yohji Yamamoto kind of look. But the way that they've cut the sleeves here, going up the shoulders, the way that they've done this layering with the thicker cotton and then the like thinner, more like sheer chiffon type stuff, there's so much detail and so much care put into this piece that I really appreciate. And we can't forget, I already threw on the Beauty Beast bondage strap jacket. I love this thing. It works with like everything, and we're going to keep using it for the rest of these. But speaking of the rest of these, let's get this Viridi-Anne piece off and put on the Kimry short sleeve shirt. Now this thing is really, really my style. I wasn't sure. I got it, I kind of took a flyer on it. This is my first Kmrii piece I've ever personally owned, and I wanted something to kind of get my foot in the door, and then maybe later I'll try some of the crazier like leather studded type stuff. Let me know if you want to see that. But this piece, it works shockingly well. Like when you just see it sitting there on a hanger, you know, I guess it's not going to win any like innovation awards, you know what I mean? But once you put it on, the cut is so nice, the material is good, the print is cool. You know, you can tell this is like a 2000s type of piece, but it still holds up today. Like Rick Owens will do pieces like this. Some of the like printed sun type pieces, I think this kind of is of a piece with. And this slim cut with the raw kind of grungy hem is really nice and fits my aesthetic so well. Just because of the cut, it actually gives me a little bit of like Eddie Slimane, like Saint Laurent type of vibes as well. All right, the last top we have to look at here is the number 9 cashmere turtleneck from 2004. Now this piece is super, super old. And pure cashmere, I can't believe it's held up as well as it has. Like cashmere tends to rip pretty easily. So I'm just so psyched to have this in this condition with this age, like this vintage. Number 9 is like a fine wine, you know? There are good vintages, and this is one of them. And this one we saw it is tagged a size 3, which for most brands would usually be like a large, but I think this one fits small. Like this feels more like a medium to me, which is perfect. I really like the cut of this. The sleeves are the perfect length. The length of the body is great. So I love the way it sits, but also tucking it in works really well. And I think tucking it in will serve us well when we put on this Beauty Beast outerwear here. So I really like all these pieces. I think my favorite is this number 9 sweater. This is just such a sick find. I'm so happy to have it. But honestly, the Lad Musician pants are a crazy, underrated, under the radar piece. Like this is not something that anybody is gonna tell their grandkids about, but maybe I will. Actually, maybe I'm gonna make a note in my diary tonight, make sure to tell grandkids about Lad Musician pants. That's the moral of the story today. All right, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I really do love and appreciate these Japanese kind of punk-inspired designers. I think they're doing stuff that is so much more interesting and honestly just so much more valuable to the world at large than what most Western brands are doing. So let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe, do all these things that help me out in the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.